So here we are. It's a new year, a new opportunity for a fresh start. So what do? We make resolutions. You know, I resolve to lose weight. I resolve to eat healthy. I resolve to spend more time with my family. I resolve to do better. Now, I know some of you are probably saying, well, I don't make resolutions. Well, I get it. But you have to admit that there is something really exciting, even energizing about the fact that there are 12 months ahead of us and we have a fresh start. And maybe, just maybe, this year we'll do it a little bit better than we did last year. Now let's fast forward 30 to 45 days into the new year. It's mid-February. Maybe it was the Super Bowl party wing binge that we went on that knocked us off of our healthy eating plan. Or maybe, it was 4 nights a week we were supposed to go to the gym and it's down to 2 or maybe 1. Or maybe it's those evening meetings and those early morning calls that are taking a little bit of our personal time away from our families. And whatever it is, they're bumps in the road. They're mishaps, they're mistakes. They're bound to happen. But human nature says, I failed. I wasn't perfect. I'm a failure just like last year. It's not going to work, so forget it. I'm throwing my hands up, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. When the more appropriate response would be to stop, take a deep breath, accept the fact that we're human, and we make mistakes, and push reset. Now, imagine, if you will, that those resolutions are far more serious than just talking about our health or our weight. Imagine if we were to resolve to be accepting of our humanness and the humanness of others. I'm actually suggesting that we resolve to be apologetically human. There was a commercial on this year during the holiday season, and the tagline, I have no idea what they were selling, but the tagline was, wouldn't it be great if human beings were great at being human? I thought a lot about that because I'm not so certain that we are that great at being human. Our human interactions are certainly suffering. We seem to get our information about others from people who look just like us, or from the media outlet of our choosing and our liking. Just imagine, though, if we got our information about others from others, real people. Actual human interaction. Now, I'm not trying to suggest that a simple conversation with somebody who has a diverse opinion, viewpoint, belief system is going to solve all the world's problems, or that we're going to have a new best friend. But I am suggesting that in having that interaction, that we begin to open the door and learn something about them, as well as revealing something about ourselves. As we get information, we become a little vulnerable because we're giving information. In fact, I would even suggest that it is imperative that we surround ourselves with diverse perspectives, points of view, and opinions for us to actually realize our own individuality and uniqueness. Each of us have a set of beliefs, but that's right, each of us have a set of beliefs. As human beings, we are flawed, we are imperfect, and we make mistakes. That's probably the thing we do best, is make mistakes. But imagine if we did surround ourselves with these diverse opinions. Let me give you a quick example. Real simple, real trite, but you'll get the whole idea. So there are 6 women having an evening in and they're having a glass of wine, listening to some music, having good conversation. And the topic comes up of who has been most influential on the music scene in their time. 5 of the women immediately come to a conclusion that it's Beyonce. Immediately. Woman number 6 says, whoa, wait up. I think it's Rihanna. Well, after the 5 pick themselves up off the floor because they cannot believe that she is on the dark side, and they're asking her to come into the light, they begin to try to persuade her and explain to her that she's wrong. You're just dead wrong, right? That's human nature. That's the groupthink that takes over when we're around people like us. But what if, instead of trying to persuade her, they said, well, describe your position. Now notice, I said describe and not defend, because defense suggests battle. Description suggests we just might learn something from the interaction. We're all different. We all have different opinions. And that can be challenging. It can be very challenging to be around people who think differently. I mean, I know that this idea of having a conversation with people doesn't resonate with everyone. In fact, I myself sometimes don't want to be in a group that's different. I don't want to deal with the difficulties. I don't want to have to walk on eggshells. But I also recognize that it's not in those similar groups in which I grow. But it's when I'm challenged, when it's difficult, when I have to stretch, that's where the growth comes in. So, this idea of people actually having a different set of values, a different set of beliefs, a different ideology, is challenging. But let's substitute Rihanna and Beyonce for something real. Let's substitute immigration or abortion, race relations, LGBTQ issues. We move from being challenged by our interactions with people of differing views to personally threatened. What do we do about that? We're human beings. We feel a certain way. Well, I want to suggest that there is a simple resolution to this. Now, I'm not trying to make it simplistic, but I do think that there is a simple resolution, but it has to occur over time. And there are 3 steps that I'd like to suggest that we consider as apologetic humans that we should be. And the first is communication. The second is to be inquisitive. And the third is to be willing to apologize. Communication is the fundamental building block of all human interaction. I'm not talking about talking to someone. I'm talking about talking with someone. Being willing to be vulnerable and telling your story, but being interested enough to listen to the story of others. Far too often our communication is at this kind of high level where we're not trying to go deep and learn much about the opposing view. We'll never learn anything about the opposing view if we don't go a little bit deeper. The second area is inquisitiveness. How many of you all have young children? Raise your hand. Not that I can see it, but raise your hand. All right. Young children. I have a grandchild who's 2. He doesn't talk much other than mine. But young children, let's say between the ages of 4 and about 8. They have the ability to get the answer to the question that they ask, and the next question that they ask, and the next question that they ask, and the next question that they ask. Why? Why? Well, you're exhausted by the time you finish the conversation with them, but they've gotten what they needed from you. Adults should be more childlike in their approach to questioning. It's true, there is no dumb question. However, there is a dumb way to ask it, which leads me to point number 3. We have to be willing to apologize. But apology that is meaningful. You know, the phrase, I'm sorry, is useless nowadays. We use it for everything. Somebody asks you to pass the salt, you give them the pepper instead. You say, oh, I'm sorry. You bump into somebody's chair walking through the aisle at work. Oh, I'm sorry. Or you want the conversation to end. I'm sorry. All right? That's not the point of apology. Apology is not supposed to stop conversation. It is to help resolve conversation. Now, I'm not at all suggesting that we apologize for our distinctiveness, for who we are, but understanding that in our conversation, in our human interaction, we're talking to other human beings. We are flawed. We make mistakes. So do they. We must be willing to say, I'm sorry, when we recognize that we have, in fact, hurt someone. Because, yes, our words can cut like a knife. And if we have the ability to feel hurt, we have the ability to inflict hurt. Better communication, being more inquisitive in a childlike manner, and being willing to apologize. So, while I stand before you this afternoon totally unapologetically black, I am apologetically human. Because my blackness in no way suggests that I am flawed, but it is in my humanness where my imperfections lie. Thank you.